Your whole campaign call-in would be even better. You come with a posse of like 40 people.
Go.
Hi, everyone. This is Linda Galashaw, your host. Welcome to City Post in Review. We're sitting tonight with our candidate for mayor, Pedro Rodriguez, who is running for mayor for Patterson, and we have with us also Francis Harrison from our community of Patterson. Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Thank you.
Now, I wouldn't think about doing this without having Francis here. Francis is a community person. She works on all different levels throughout the community. She is very much rooted in ESNA, the East Side Neighborhood Association, where she basically makes her mark, and is well known for the contributions and changes that she has brought to the park. But she also does a lot of non-for-profits. She's great for assisting and the many organizations in our community. And we thank you for being here tonight with us.
Thank you for that intro. Thank you very much.
Now, Pedro, number one. Okay, I see that your numbers have changed since the last time that I actually looked at the campaign, or the City Post was actually looking at the campaign and seeing the positions. We had more than 8, 9 people running at the time. We're now leveling it down. We're down to a final 6, I believe. We're at a number 6. And you have managed to get your petitions in, and you're on the front line. You've got your signs, and you're ready to move on.
That's right, Linda. In our case, we were the first one to turn in the petitions in record time in Patterson. Within 3 days, we collected 1,500 petitions. We turned in 900 of them. And in less than a week, we were certified by the clerk. It's just a testament of the team that we have and the support that we're getting from the residents of the city of Patterson.
Well, I'm glad to know that. Now, if we could just maybe slip and look at what we predicted in the beginning. This was several months ago, and people were in different positions because we had more candidates. But now the field is clear. We're only going by those candidates that were able to complete their petitions. Let's see what that looked like back then.
You're going to have a delay to see it, so he's there.
Okay. Okay. Pedro, your position here was not in first place. We see Mendez sliding into first base. So it looks like he was in the lead at that time. Since then, we've eliminated Chauncey Brown. Glenn Brown. And there was another one, wasn't there?
It was only 2 Brown.
Andrea Killian also has not decided to run in this race. Looking at your position on the field, how did you interpret this picture? How did you see yourself?
I didn't take it in that way in terms of who was in which position. I just saw it that everybody was in the game, and that's the way I saw it. So it was so early, and me as a baseball fan, you know, I'm running the bases, and I was looking to score by May 8th. So that's the way I saw it. So I never saw it, Linda, as who was first, second, and third. I know that I hit a hit, and I was running from first to second, as I can see in the picture. And, you know, at that time, and May 8th, by that time, I should be scoring.
Made a home run, huh?
Exactly. That's what happened. I hit a home run, and you took an early picture.
That could be. Well, right now we want to talk about your campaign and some of the things that you wish to bring forward if you were to receive the seat of mayor. What are you looking to do immediately?
Within your first 30 days.
Let's say 30 days.
What is your interest of pulling this city together in your first 30 days?
As many Pattersonians have seen over the last years, Patterson have been deeply rooted in corruption.
Yes.
So the first thing we need to do is a forensic audit of our finance. I believe we're bleeding dollars all over the place, besides the influence that we are getting from special interest and those who fund politicians. That's to the side, but we need to go in and analyze with a team of experts who understand the numbers to analyze what is on the table and what can we do to move the city forward. So the very first thing we're going to do is that we're going to do a forensic audit of our financial status.
Have you considered starting from a zero budget?
Of course, we want to do a zero balance budget where every one of the department heads can build their budget from scratch.
Okay.
Whatever will happen in the past shouldn't move into the future. Let's sit with every single one of them and let's talk about every single expense. I'm an electronic engineer. I was an operations manager for the largest telecommunication company in the world. I was operations manager in Manhattan, Brooklyn, Queens, and Staten Island. And my company held us accountable for every single dollar that we spent. And we got to help our directors accountable for every single dollar that they spend, especially those dollars are taxpayers' dollars. People who are losing their homes, people who cannot send their children to a recreation center because there's none really in Patterson. And every single dollar that we spend needs to be monitored, needs to be well spent, where we can bring efficiency and honesty to government.
Wow, that's a mouthful.
Yes,
now, are
it
you
is.
ready with a transitional team once you get this appointment? Will you be able, boots on the ground right away, or are you still looking for that team?
We're still looking, we're going to bring a balance because what I would like to see is a lot of Pattersonians serving their community. That's why I'm not the type of politician that look for support based on the job that I can give you. What I want to do, open government to our residents so they can be part of our team, so they can, because those are the ones who pay our taxes.
That's right.
We have to help our community, and the help gotta come within the community. We can't wait for a miracle to come to Patterson and come and help us. It's our responsibility to make it happen.
Well, I'm hearing now that you're self-funded.
I am self-funded, and the reason why I'm self-funded is because I've seen politician after politician that gets to those positions, and when they get to those positions, they start serving those who fund their campaigns and forget about all of us. And that's why nothing changes, and people feel like they've been betrayed by many politicians that hold positions, and they don't deliver on their promises. So I'm making an effort to avoid that, because when somebody give you, Linda, $20, $30, $50,000, it's not because you look pretty, which you look very pretty today.
Thank you.
It's because they want something in return. I want to isolate myself from those guys.
Okay.
I want to serve the residents of Patterson, and I'm making a huge commitment from my own money and from people who believe in this project. For example, we did a party at $25. So, but we brought more than 1,000 people. So we are raising money in that way,
In the
that it
process of-
comes from the ground roots of Patterson.
Okay.
Well, my question to you is that this being a city, the city has to have connections to the state and the federal.
Yes.
Do you feel in your capacity that you have these relationships that can help you build Patterson?
One of the things that I, as an electronic engineer with my MBA, that I built was building relationships. Now, let me tell you, Francis, those who are selling the plan that because I know this guy and I know that guy, like they're gonna deliver better for them. No, when we know the governor and we voted for the governor as democratic town that we are,
Right.
the governor is supposed to serve us
That's
regardless of who we are.
Right.
That's his responsibility.
Right,
And
right.
the lieutenant governor and every single elected official out there should serve the community. In the case of Patterson,
Right.
we are a democratic town. I don't think that because John Doe or Jane gets there, they're gonna change the perception. We have to, but you know how they're gonna change it? They're gonna change it when we can show that we're honest, that we're not stealing the money like was stole before, and that we're not wasting the federal funds, that we're not wasting the state funds. That's when governors, senators, assembly people will come and back to Patterson.
Very
Patterson is a democratic city, and we have a democratic governor. It's going to help us all, regardless of who gets there. Don't fall for that.
The relationship that I was speaking about is not a personal relationship. I was talking about the processes to bring the federal and the state into the city. Are you familiar enough with that, or you have someone in your group that you're bringing that's going to be able to keep the timelines? Because as you know, Patterson has lost a lot of money
Yeah.
Yes.
from people not understanding the process of running a government.
The reason why that happened, Francis, is because nepotism. So people, mayors who get there end up bringing their own circle to manage the funds. I want to open it. I want to bring the best that we can get to get the job done. See, the job of a mayor, he's the CEO, he's the executive of the city. So I need to surround myself by people who has the experience, who
That's
has
right.
the expertise, who are able and who are willing to see the city change and move forward. That's what we want to see. So my question, my answer is yes, 100%. We're gonna put together a team that will run Patterson like a private business, that you serve the customers, the taxpayers, the
Right.
residents
Right.
with the level of service that they deserve. That you keep watching every single dollar like, like a hawk.
Like a hawk.
Like a hawk.
we have to- if-
That you can perform the audits and hold people accountable as they are supposed to be held accountable. So definitely those relationships are there and the personnel will be there. But I'm not committed to any funding that I say, okay, I save this position for this guy or that guy.
Right.
I want the best that Patterson can get.
Well, that's a good answer. That is true. We need a new take on how we're running the city. I agree with that. Now, when we talk about servicing the entire community, because we have so many different ethnicities,
Yes.
how do you propose to bring the city of Patterson together as one?
There are many things that we have in common. When these politicians and councilmen and mayor keep raising the taxes, you raise the taxes on all of us.
All of us.
When they remove funds from recreation, they remove funds from the recreation on all of us. So we have to find those common issues that help us all. But to be honest with you 100%, there's one particular community here that has been neglected for many years, for decades and more, and it's the African American community. And people, they want to be politically correct, and they don't want to touch on. And we have to dedicate special attention to the African American community, who is a vibrant part of our city, but haven't been served with the level of scoop that they deserve.
Right.
You can see it in the business. Look at the number of small business and big businesses that we have in the city of Patterson. How many are owned by African Americans?
Small amount, very small amount.
Very small amount, disproportionately small amount.
I agree.
And why? Why? When you see 3 out of the last two of the 3 last elected mayor in the city of Patterson have been African Americans. If you count the last 2 that were appointed, 4 out of the last 5 has been African Americans. If you see at the city council, the majority of the representation there is African American. If you look at the state level as well. So they haven't been able to yield the results for the community, for the African American community in particular, and we need to change that. We need to
Why
put a
is
special
that?
attention.
Why have they not been able to?
Again, I don't want to go into any particular issue, but funding is a big issue. You know, that again, politicians get to those positions to serve those who fund the campaign, Francis. And so politics and administration
Gets in
has
the
a
way.
root, and that's the problem. Everybody tends to follow the same thing. And those who doesn't even live in Patterson are the ones who take more advantage of our city. This is a rich city, but it's poorly managed.
Right, poorly managed.
Well,
That's
do you
the-
have a plan? Do you have a plan for the black community as far as economic development?
100%. So what we have to do, we have to build a bridge in which we can teach financial literacy, in which can have grant writers who goes out and do an outreach for the community. You are no less than any other community here. You are as competent as everybody else, but you haven't been given a true opportunity to sit on the table. On the table when they are splitting the cake. Politicians, if you see, they are very quick to come to our events, to our churches. They brother you to death. Brother this, brother that, and give you a hug. But when it's time to deliver For the African American community, they are nowhere to be found. Listen, when I came to Patterson, and I've seen it firsthand, I came to 47 North York Street, in the heart of the Fourth Ward. Then, when I bought my first house, I bought it in North 6th Street, 104 North 6th Street.
Wow.
In the heart of crime and everything. It's very tough.
Very tough there,
it was very tough. And I've seen how we're losing a generation of our youth to crime and to many other lack of opportunities because politicians haven't been able to deliver. We have a plan to go and outreach that community. And we have a plan to improve recreation. We're going to attack the root of the problem.
Well, let's look at some of the candidates that you're up against.
Yeah.
Let's discuss, let's see. Well, we have two that real competition, I would say, is Andre Sayer, definitely in the top three, could be in first place at this point. And we have, said to say, Alex Mendez, which could be tying with Michael Jackson. Let's discuss Andre Sayer. Why do you feel you're a better fit than Andre?
Because I'm independent.
Wow.
Because I don't take money from developers or special interest people. Because I have a plan. The only candidate right now that has a written plan, and you can see it over here in everything, that is willing to discuss. No, I haven't mailed it. It's not. I'm passing them around. That has a plan that can present, that will sell you anything that cannot be done. Is me. I know Andre. He talks very well. He have taken art classes and you know, he's an actor, good person, but he doesn't have what it takes. I'm a business owner.
Yes.
Which, as you know, I'm a homeowner. My kids, all four of them, attend Patterson Public School. I lived in North 6th Street. I've lived in 47 North York Street. So you know, and I've lived by you too. So you know. Yes, you're in the you experience it. You experience when crime, when you are sleeping and you hear shootings. You experience when by us people break into your house.
Yes.
So I have that experience. I have the private experience as well. I was, as I said before, an operations manager for the largest telecommunication company in the world. So I have that business experience, and I have the government experience. Remember, I was elected by the people to the Board of Education. I was zoning board commissioner, planning board commissioner, and deputy mayor.
Yeah, right. Well, let's go on then. Andre, as you said, you've really dissected his campaign and what he's about. Yeah. Let's see. Can we discuss the next candidate? Let's look at Alex Mendez. Now, I'm going to say there's a lot of controversy between Alex Mendez and your campaign.
Really?
And some people feel that you just got into the race just to knock Alex. What do you think about that?
That I feel the exactly opposite way. If I'm putting a large amount of money, and if you see the amount of money that we're putting into the campaign, which we're second to Andre, the only thing is I'm putting it myself. Andre is getting it from a special interest, and you compare that. And you see the finances of Alex Mendez is you know, it's day and night. You know, you cannot run a serious campaign with first negative $107 and a bunch of
107
negative.
Yeah, negative.
107 negative.
And then you have another $150 in the last report. But then you see signs all over the place, and you're, but you know, what's going on? Who's funding this campaign? So I don't see Alex as a competition. I know him personally, and when I spoke to him, I said, "Why don't you make some accomplishments as a councilman? You know, tell me something that you have accomplished as a councilman. Tell me one ordinance, one resolution that you have put forward that has been approved, that have improved the quality of life of the Pattersonians." It's none to be found. So we have a strong campaign, It's not about Alex, Andre. It's about the improvement of the life of the Pattersonians.
Right.
That's the
right,
difference that
right.
we have here in the city of Patterson and our candidacy.
I have a question. Your job for the city is telecommunications,
I'm a telecommunication system analyst.
right? Or is it for the police force, or is it for the city of Patterson?
No, it's a civil service job,
Right.
which I acquired through the state of New Jersey. So they give you a test,
Mm-hmm.
and I scored number one in the entire state of New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And I work for the police department. I'm a civilian. I'm not a cop.
Right, right.
So,
So in this, in your position, you have nothing to do with the actual running of the city itself, because the question has to do with how poorly the city is representative in the electronic age.
Yes.
Okay, because if you
Right.
look at their website, it's practically non-existent. The updates are not there. The departments that the community needs to contact if they have a issue, some of them have not been updated since 2011.
yeah.
There are departments and committees. They're on the website. There's a total of 16, and out of the 16, there are 4 that are up to date. The rest of them are, I don't get it. And that's why I wanted to know exactly where your position was. I thought you were working actually for the city.
No, I work for the police department, and some of the and you're 100% right. You see this city like it's living in the 1940s, if you will, in a good day, and that's something that we need to change. Why can't people pay their taxes online? Why can't people pull their permits online? That's something that is simple, but again, it goes back to who's managing the city.
That's right.
The level of competence that people have in different departments
Right.
to manage the city.
That's right.
In our case, when we came to the Patterson Police Department, we right away work on bringing text for tips. So that's a technology that Pattersonians can send an anonymous tip to the police department about any issues in their community or any crimes. We work with creating what is called Eyes on Patterson, in which residents of the city of Patterson can connect their personal camera
Right.
to look outside, and police can monitor that. We found basically the camera system dead in the city of Patterson, and we've been able to restore that with very little expense.
Let's talk about that. The
Sure.
cameras that are being put in, businesses are buying cameras to cover their establishments to be sure that they have a good measure of security and contact with the Patterson Police. I found through research that a lot of the cameras are not working.
The
They're
cameras
not
that are
working,
not
and it's not connected as we thought to the Patterson Police. They're limited in how many cameras they can connect to their system. How do we fix that? Why do we even go on to continue to sell cameras if they're not going to work hand in hand with the police?
So there are two systems. One is the Eyes on Patterson, in which maybe it's what you're talking about, like private cameras that goes in businesses
Right.
are connected to the police department. So the maintenance of those cameras are the responsibility of the homeowner or the business owner. So we have and I really cannot talk numbers, but we have a large number of cameras connected to the police department that allows the police department, the police officers to have an extra eyes for safety of the Pattersonians
Okay.
and for their own safety. The
Okay.
other system is the public cameras. We found it pretty much dead, and we've been able to restore that system to a system that works for the police. So,
But is the camera recording every second?
Every
Is it
second.
every second?
every second.
The
It
street
is.
cameras are recording every second.
Yes, miss. They are. And not only that, Linda, one thing that I was able successfully in doing, I applied for a grant, something that we don't do good enough here, but I was able to apply it for a grant with Habitat for Humanity.
Okay.
And we were able to install 15 new cameras
Okay,
in the
that's
north
what we
section of
needed.
Patterson. Brand new. We just finished that, and I did the installation myself.
Okay.
Because what we were looking to do, that didn't cost the city not even one penny, because it was in conjunction with Habitat for Humanity. We had community meetings, and we identified which locations were important for the community to install these cameras. And we work also with the different department divisions within the police department, narcotics, major crimes, to
Yeah,
identify those corners as well. And we put the engineering part to make sure that those cameras could go to those locations in which they can protect and resolve and reduce the number of crimes that were being committed in the first ward.
Well, it takes good government, it takes good leadership, and it takes a great team.
Yeah.
And looking at your position, if you were to become the mayor, for the business administrator, what two people do you think would make a great business administrator?
I don't know any names, but what I know is one thing. We need somebody who could be competent, who knows numbers, who knows administration, who can build relationship among the different the directors and the different departments, who's more of a business person, who can build a better city, who can administrate the funds of the city a lot better, who can look out and bring new ideas, new vision to really do a re-engineer of the way that we've been
But you
administrating
just
the
said
system.
that you have a team that can be boots on the ground, so you've got to have somebody in mind for that position.
Yeah, but I don't have anybody in mind. Like what I told you is I'm gonna open it to the residents of the city of Patterson, because I would like to interview many residents of the city who has the competence to serve, who are willing to serve, who are able to serve, who has the ethics.
So you're talking
come.
about skills, knowledge, and ability.
True.
Skills,
Well,
knowledge,
that's
and
it.
ability.
Well, let me just acknowledge some of the people that are calling in, because I see the names are rolling up pretty quickly.
Oh my God.
We have Nancy Greer. Did Nancy Greer have a question?
If they can make a phone call.
Yeah. Here's the number. If you'd like to ask the candidate a question while we're here live, the number is 973-523-2980. 523-2980.
One thing for Nancy, listen, every time I have an opportunity to acknowledge her and her brother, what they do with the homeless population is
Yes.
fantastic.
Yes.
I haven't seen that many people who has a big of a heart as her and her brother, especially with that underserved population that we have. It's a growing population in the city of Patterson, which we have a good plan for it as well.
We have to have a better plan, because right now they're crowding the streets of Patterson.
Yep.
We have so many programs feeding the homeless. What are we doing for the educated? What are we doing for the youth? We got to start moving towards a cleaner and more educated society. How do
And
you know-
making them reliable, because just feeding them without having resources.
True.
Now, I can see you feeding them because that's where your heart is. But I feel that each day that you're out there feeding them, you should also have some resources with you, side by side, so they get their food. They go over to the groups that are the resources that can move them out of the condition that they're in. You shouldn't
Change
be seeing
conditions,
these
right.
same people every single time that you're feeding. You should eventually have some people that have moved on, so you have accomplished something. Just feeding them is just not enough, you know. And then when you feed them, you find out in the city that they're just coming to get the food, and you look in the fourth ward where they're being fed at, that they're throwing it in the streets, and the rats and the garbage and the other stuff that's out there.
That's
So
right.
it doesn't really serve a purpose if you don't give them a way out.
So, Francis, we have a plan. And the first thing that we did is, we draft a plan and we invite some homeless. And I took him to dinner. Say, let me show you what our plan is. And you let me know straight up if this is something that you are willing to do. So here's our plan. We have to reform our shelters. There's no way that we can have grown men and women for 13 hours in one place, and they are not learning something, or they are not receiving their mental health.
Right.
mental health is a big issue?
So that's one. Now,
We got a caller? Okay.
Yes, I'm calling to ask a question to the candidate.
Yes.
talk louder.
The question is?
Yes, what do he have for the city of Patterson recreation for the kids?
Okay, what's our plan for the recreation? I'll tell you what the plan for the recreation, just as I finish with our homeless situation. So once
Yes.
we reform the way we have our shelters, in which we can teach them something while they're there. When if some people can learn, because they have some mental health issues, or we are providing them with the services, the mental health services, so they can be reinserted into the society.
That's right.
But in the morning, what I would like is to roll a bus as they are coming out at 6 in the morning, give them a uniform,
Okay.
and they are the ones who's gonna go out. Instead of doing panhandling, they're gonna be cleaning Patterson with a broom, street by street, block by block, and they're gonna be paid, and we're gonna reserve their bed. That way, they can save after a little while. They can save some money, and they can be reinserted into society. Because I don't think
So that's helping them to give back at the same time?
we have to stand them up. We have to help them. Those are human beings just like us. They are going through their valley of their life.
That's right. That's absolute. But it's happening in other cities.
Right.
And it's true that you don't have to invent the wheel.
No.
There are so many best practices in the cities that are in the same or similar situation as Patterson. So when you're willing to go out and learn from these other other cities and bring back the best practices for Patterson, you will see a better Patterson.
Exactly.
Get the gentleman.
Also, in terms of recreation, we want to make the largest investment in recreation in the whole history of Patterson. That's a commitment that I have.
Wow.
If our administration is going to be remembered for one thing, and it's going to be recreation, because that's the root of our crime problems. We complain very fast about the crime levels that we have,
Right.
but we don't offer our youth recreation or jobs. We are boxing them into that corner,
That's
Right.
and then we complain that the crime is high.
That's right.
We gotta attack the
We
root
have
of the
to find
problem.
something
So
for the
what we're
youth.
gonna do, we're gonna hire coaches that can teach, and they can go to every school and recruit their players, baseball, basketball, volleyball, you name it. And we can make local tournaments within the ward, and we can make city-wide tournaments in which everybody gotta be involved, because I want the small business to be sponsored to many of those teams. That's the
I like
involved.
that.
That's how
I
you
like
can
that.
build a neighborhood.
That's
You gotta
right.
be neighborly. You gotta go and help those kids. You gotta go and help the youth. Now, I got 4 boys, like I was telling you. Not everybody likes sports. In my house, 2 are crazy about sports. The other 2,
I have that.
not too
I have
much.
that issue.
So for those, we have to work with the Board of Education, because I want to create after-school programs in which our children can learn dance, art, paint,
Okay, speaking
music.
of that new recreation center that we have up on Chamberlain Ave, that's being run by Jamie Bland for Jumpstart. She has taken the initiative to start activities such as that.
Yeah.
What can you do to bring resources there? Right now, she's working out of pocket. There are no grants. There is no 4C support to get this enacted. But we do have those kids that are more academic
Yeah.
than they are into sports. So we have to start catering to that type of youth that we have in our city. But what can you do to bring something over to the center? Have you seen the center? Have you gone to visit?
Yeah, I've been there, and to be honest with you, and this has nothing to do with Jamie. It's amazing that we spend more than $1 million in that thing. It's impossible. That's why I want to do my financial
Forensic report.
forensic report. It's impossible. It's impossible. Please, you've been there. You've been there.
Yes.
Listen, please, come on, man. We
When he
have.
thought you was Stevie Wonder.
Oh
you
my
weren't gonna
Lord!
see it.
It's
I don't know
painful.
about the cost of it, but I know it's beautiful inside.
It's
Lots
beautiful.
of space. It's a great place for kids to learn. I was one of the first people to endorse it when the trailer was there without water, without bathrooms. I saw it. And the space is beautiful.
It's
but
beautiful.
the cost, I'm
but
not
you
sure
know,
of the cost.
it didn't cost $1.2 million. If I give you $1.2 million, you can do a lot more than having a trailer.
Right.
So now, with Jamie, I actually spoke to Deputy Mayor Jamie Bland last week, and we're gonna help her. And I was telling her about some of the ideas that we have. That, remember, I sponsored the Patterson Math Olympics
Yes.
since 2011. Every year, all of the middle schools.
Program.
And the kids love it. So I was talking to her about code.org and the parents that are listening to this, is something that I do with many communities that comes from Dominican Republic, Peru, and other communities that comes and ask for help. I give them the tablets, and I show them about what it could become a digital library in which the kids can go and learn how to code. I'm an electronics engineer. I know how to code. I know how to program. They love it.
We have kids interested in
of
graphic
course,
arts and stuff like 100%. That. Right.
So I'm going to work hand in hand with Jamie to develop a code.org class there, so kids can learn how to code. And they can learn how to code 3 years old, 2 years old.
Now,
it doesn't
will
matter.
you be willing to do this if you don't win this seat? Are you going to disappear from the community? Are you going to lay back on your plans to advance Patterson?
Two things.
If you didn't win?
Two things. We're going to win the seat. Number two, we can do that before May 8th. Okay. That's the best thing. We don't need to wait to May 8th.
Now, so, again, we have people like Nancy Greer calling in. We have Flavio Sanchez. And we have another caller on the line.
Hello.
Hello.
Yes, I have a question.
Yes?
Yeah. I would like to ask Mr. Pedro Rodriguez, what are his planning to do with abandoned houses?
Wow, that is a big question in our community. What are you planning to do with the abandoned houses? Okay. And I'm going to go a little closer to it in detail. What are you going to do about getting the purchases of the abandoned houses in the hands of the citizens of Patterson? Because right now these houses are being auctioned off, and when you get there, there's no way that a ordinary citizen or one citizen can go in there and compete against developers who have millions of dollars to
because
purchase.
Developers are the one who fund campaigns. That's the problem.
But it's an open auction. Anyone can go.
Okay.
But how can you compete?
So Linda, who won in the last auction? Who took most of the properties? And not just that, the one before, who took most of the properties.
But what will you do?
And who's that person funding?
But what will you do to allow the average person to purchase these properties with exclusion to the developers?
So the thing is, here's what we're going to do.
Envision a program.
100%. And we have a program designed for that. So in our program, the first condition that you need to have to participate in this type of in the abandoned properties plan is that you cannot be a homeowner. That way, you are removing all of these developers and slumlords that are sucking our resources,
That's right.
Paying pennies on the dollar.
That's right.
So with that, since the abandoned properties are, they need some work. If the caller just can hold on 1 second.
1 second, caller.
So the first condition is you cannot be a homeowner. I cannot participate, but many people in Patterson can. The second thing is we're gonna lend you the money to fix the property. So we're gonna be using CDBG money, or we're gonna be using a plan that is called 203K.
Yes, construction loans.
There you go. So let's say we lend you $50,000.
Right.
Okay, but we're gonna put 5 conditions. Number 1, you're gonna have to live in that property for 5 years minimum.
Okay.
Number 2, you cannot sell that property in those 5 years. If you need to sell it for whatever reason, you're gonna have to give it back to the municipality. So for redistribution.
Not bad.
You know what? I don't want people to use it for business.
Good idea.
Exactly.
The third one, we're gonna give you a list of contractors from Patterson that are the ones who hire our people. And we're going to give you an incentive so you can hire those contractors to do the repair. What I want is that the money stays here. The money have to stay in Patterson. And we revolve the money.
This is a problem.
But let me give you the fourth one. The fourth one is you're going to have 6 months to do all of the repairs. We're going to put you in a fast track. Time frame. I don't want you to see.
That's too close. 6 months?
Yeah. Because I don't want you to see with an abandoned property.
Right.
I want you to get to work right away. It's 6 months from the time that we give you.
That's
We're gonna put you.
That's what's needed.
That's what's needed. It's gonna be tough, but I want you to get to work. We're gonna put you in a fast track permit approval, so you can get rolling.
Wow.
The last one is once the property is beautiful, like your house, I want you to go to the bank and mortgage the property. And let's say the property is valued at $200,000. Minimum, the bank will give you $140. When the bank give you the $140, I want you to return the money that the city lent you, and the bank and the deal now is between you and the bank. But the city now can lend it to somebody else.
Somebody
Wow.
We're gonna keep revolving this loan. Patterson will
That's
grow
a good
up.
plan.
Yeah,
That's a good
an
plan.
excellent plan.
But with our
Excellent plan.
residents
that.
being the homeowners, because when you live in the first floor of the house, you don't rent to a drug dealer in the second floor. But these people who owns hundreds of properties, who cares? They don't care
Long
who
as I
lives
get
in
my
the second.
rent.
Exactly. As long as you're getting your rent, they don't care who lives in property number 105, second floor.
That's to consider. Caller, please
I'm sorry.
let us have your question. Oh, caller, please call back. I'm so sorry we had you on
Let me
hold.
finish my recreation plan. So we talk about sports. We talk about that the kids will be able to get in recreation, art, modeling, programming, photography, videography, many things, so that we can keep our kids until 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock,
Okay.
when their parents finish work. But there's two communities that they are at risk. The special needs children.
Right.
There's not a program in Patterson that we can take them to. Special needs children. So they're gonna be centered in our plan. And the second one is for the kids that are in high school. We're gonna create a program that is gonna call on the job training, in which we're gonna knock on the doors of many business owners, and we're gonna tell them, teach them what you do. If you're a mechanic,
I like that
if you're a
idea.
construction guy, show them how
Let's
to push
take it.
sheetrock.
Let's take it.
Because
Can we-
not everybody wants to be an electronic engineer like me. They
Exactly.
want to be a barber. They want to be a mechanic, and we're
Right.
gonna give them the
Trades. We
opportunity.
wanna push trades in our community.
We want to give them the opportunity
Let me
to do
get
that.
this caller. Caller? Hello, caller. Can we get your question? I know they're there.
They gotta listen to
I'm
us.
sorry,
and
we
then-
got disconnected. We'll take you right away if you just give us one more
Call
chance
back.
Yeah.
at calling.
Call back.
Nancy Greer, I'd like to hear something from you. Councilman Shaheen Khalik is watching. Councilman Khalik, please feel free to call in.
Of course. So the whole thing with that population of kids that are in high school, they are at risk of crime, and we gotta take care of them. We offer them recreation, we offer them jobs, and we work with institutions like Hohokus, for example, that can provide them with formal training,
Uh-huh.
short-term
Great idea.
trades that they can execute as soon as they get out of high school.
Great idea.
But we'll help them.
When we were talking before about best practices, just looking at the country as a whole, any city, whether it's inner city, whether it's rural, when they decided to take their city back,
Yeah.
they took it back through the police force. So we really are in dire need for community policing. If you've been to or if you studied any of these communities that have taken back their community, so what is your idea about community policing?
My idea is that
Good
first
question.
we're gonna reform the police department.
Hallelujah.
The police officers of this city needs to reflect the population of the city.
Yes.
We have to have a better understanding between the police department and our police officers
Okay, just
and the
let me ask you
population.
this question.
Yes, miss.
It seems as though that because of past practice or what's on the books now, nobody is willing to tackle this.
Right.
So I understand that you have something that you would like to do, but I would like to know a more concrete.
Yeah.
How do you plan to implement it?
Yes, that's
100%. I'll tell you exactly in detail, and let's take the call that
Yes.
way we don't miss him.
Yes.
I'll tell you in detail what we're gonna do.
Give him the Zoom. Caller, can we have your question, please?
Yes, I have a question for the candidate, Pedro Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay. We, the taxpayer, we can afford to pay taxes. I want to know if Mr. Pedro Rodriguez, he have any remedy for the taxpayer.
100%.
Especially when it's included in the mortgage.
What do you
Yes.
mean
How
by-
do we
by-
handle it?
when-
As we get these tax increases, some of us are able to put the money in at the end of the year. But when your mortgage, your taxes are included in your mortgage, you have no choice.
They
You
do
have
the
to pay it. So what do
recalculation.
we do?
So Okay, we do that first, or we do the police first? Let's do
No,
the police.
do-
Let's finish the.
Answer his
Okay,
question. He's
so
online.
we have several plans. The whole thing is, once we eliminate corruption, once we eliminate wasteful spending, and when we can work a more efficient government, we don't need to spend the amount of money that we're spending right now. The second thing, we're gonna go after the taxpayers to give them relief. Some of the things that we're gonna do, we're gonna create a program that is called Patterson Green. Patterson Green is a program in which we're gonna give you, it's gonna be something closer to Patterson Pride, but Patterson Green is gonna give you the funds so you can install solar panels in your roof. The whole thing, Francis, is if you can save $300 a month in electricity, in the year is $3,600.
That's right.
That's like giving you a tax deduction.
Right.
Now, who's going to install those solar panels? What I would like to do is to develop a division within the recreation department to give them the tools to the DPW workers to create a career path in which they gonna become the installers. So the city at one point is gonna be able to develop this career path for the DPW workers, who are the lowest paid employees in the city and
the
are
less
the only
trained.
ones who lives here.
Right, and are less trained because no
Less
training, no time or energy is put in teaching them their job.
So to the DPW workers out there, I want to send you this message. We're gonna develop. We're gonna also re-engineer the way DPW works, and we're gonna develop a career path to every single one of you, either through green energy or create that solar panel system, and that we're gonna go and help every single one of you out there. It's sometimes it's disheartening to see a person who worked for 33 years in DPW and they make $33,000. 33 years in the same department, and they now make $33,000. It's impossible. We gotta take care of our own. Those are the residents of our city, and we're gonna help them with that. Going back to the police department, I say the police department needs to look like the city that they serve, that like the residents that they serve.
That's right. That's right.
Some of the things that we're gonna reform in the police department is the way that we're hiring our new officers. The truth of the matter is that many officers use the requirement is that when you live here, that you need to live in Patterson in order to apply and be accepted in the police department to go to the academy.
Well, why don't we get a different checks and balances? Because again, they're only required to live here 2 years, and then we
Not
find that they move out. But why can't we have a better system of validation, like maybe checking your income tax returned? Okay, let's see what address you're filing at. We have to have something a little more concrete in nailing down the evidence.
As my question was before, we all feel the same way about the fact that the police department does not reflect the community
True.
that these people are working in. And because you don't have any empathy, because it's not where you live, so you don't have the concern of it, there has to be, and it is something that's going to be drawn out. It's not going to be etched in stone. It ain't going to be just like this and that's the way it is. But it needs a real hard look.
Yeah.
Because nobody has taken on that horse
Yeah.
and tried to ride it.
Right.
True.
You know.
So we will bring those changes. So the changes that we're gonna bring now, to be quite honest up front, the law doesn't allow me to require the police to
Right.
stay living in
Right.
the city. The law, and that's a state law.
Well, that would be the ordinance that we need.
But that's a state level. I cannot do the ordinance. What I can do is, in the same way that the police get incentive for education, for longevity, what I would like to do is create an incentive that is called a residency incentive. That for those police officers who lived here, that are part of our community, we can give them a yearly incentive in dollars, so they can, take advantage of that. But we want them here.
Well, that's
And
a
we
good
have
idea,
to-
but I got to get this question passed.
Go ahead.
What about our safety director? How are we handling this? We've been told, and it's evident. I mean, we can Google it. The celebration of the town where our Spezial
Yeah.
is now serving. how is it that we're paying a full salary for him and he's serving in the same capacity in Pennsylvania? How is this allowed? And what do you plan to do about that once you take your position?
Well, two things. One, how is this allowed? Yeah, I want you to ask the other candidates because they are in position to stop it from being allowed.
Wow.
Those are the ones that are councilmen. Those are the ones who are running for mayor.
Right.
I wasn't there. And the other thing that I'm telling you, not only in his position as a public safety director, but in every single position, I want people who are
Accountable.
full-time and accountable in our town. So if our director of police is to stay there, he needs to work 100% in the city of Patterson. That's
Jerry
and I work for him.
Jerry Spezial is a very competent person.
He is competent.
He is on the ground. He knows the community well, but he's not here.
He's not here.
He's not here. Now, how much are we paying him now? What is his salary now?
I have no idea. I ain't getting a nickel or a dime out of it.
Do you know the number?
I believe it's $90,000. But the whole thing is, it's not even how much you're paying him and paying any other department heads. What we need to do is we have to make sure. I saw in the paper the other day, human services. It was HR. He was doing also working from home and stuff like that. So we need our department heads to stay here, to work and to devote all their competency to the residents of Patterson.
But you know, the thought is and the word is that anything goes in Patterson.
That's it.
So how do you run a business that allows your human resource person who is over the entire city work from her home? And the other thing is that you have these people, these directors, okay, who are, there seems to be no penalty for non-compliance. So there has to be some training, there has to be some penalties,
Right.
and then somebody has to be watching the shop because it's obvious that nobody has done that, okay?
Yeah.
Even for the services that you get from the community. The director's up here and you have your ladder.
Yeah.
But in the ladder, the people who are mostly touched by the community, they treat us like
you're asking for a favor. Like your tax dollars don't worth anything.
No, we have to get better on
you
that
know,
piece.
the training, the competency, the empathy, until all this is brought to this city and somebody is monitoring and there's a penalty for non-compliance.
Well, Francis, the buck stops at my office, and the culture, the corporate culture is gonna change in Patterson.
Good.
Because I don't owe nobody anything.
And
Those
that I
coupon
like.
campaigns,
And that
I don't
I
owe
like.
them anything.
Good.
So we're gonna change the corporate culture in our city to run it and to serve the residents of Patterson with the level of competency and services that they
That we're
deserve.
paying.
Okay. Well, I just saw Anad Shah is on the line. Yeah. Well, he's
Councilman.
watching the video. Councilman Anad Shah from Prospect Park. We'd love to have a question from you. Please feel free to call in and tell us what your community is looking for. You're on the borderline of Patterson. What is it that you expect from the next mayor? What can we do to help make Prospect Park a better place to live? Right now, it's a very decent town, very clean, on time with your services. In fact, we should model some of the things
Some of their practices.
that they do there. Councilman Robert Artis is always on the scene, another councilman that's always available to his community. Councilman Shah also has gone out of his way to connect himself with the various communities. You need to know the people that you service, and I think that's really important to get out of the office and get on the streets. But Councilman Shah, would you have a question for our candidate? Please call in. The number is 973-523-2980. We're going to be wrapping this up. And we're hoping to talk with you more in the future as we get closer to the day of election.
Yeah.
We want to thank you for coming on the show, spending time with us, making yourself available to the public as you are. Could you tell us where your office is located?
Our office is located in 186 Market Street, just a block away from City Hall, so we can walk May 9th into City Hall with God first, and then with your support. So I don't have to take the bus. We don't have to drive no car. But I also want to thank you for the opportunity, both of you. You know, I love the conversation, and it's an honest and direct conversation that we need to talk to the Pattersonians out there. People are struggling right now, Linda.
That's it.
Struggling right now. They are desperate. We're losing so many good families that have to leave the city because they cannot take it anymore.
That's right, for their children's sake and for their
own
safety.
Yeah, their safety. So this is going to be a great opportunity for the Pattersonians to bring real change to the city of Patterson.
I see. You know,
we have to take the city away from special interests and those who fund campaigns, those developers who put money all over the place. Let's look at this
candidate, Bill McCoy.
Yeah.
Let's look at him. What do you think about his campaign? Why do you see yourself to be in a stronger position than the councilman who has served now for
20 years.
20 hard years.
Because people will make a decision into the status quo of. I saw in the last 18 years he's been raising our taxes 14 times. In 14 years,
Don't I know about it? Don't I know about it? I'm suffering in that number.
Tell me. So, right, neighbor.
In fact, we're all from the 3rd Ward, aren't we?
Yes,
Thank you. Thank you.
We know what's not happening over there and what is happening.
So people will make a decision
right
into voting for the status quo and those who's been raising our taxes, or voting for a new vision, new ideas, fresh ideas. Voting for those who are attached to developers who want all of our abandoned properties and special interest people, lobbyists. Why would you take an endorsement from a lobbyist who's bringing companies and outsourcing jobs to those companies, taking it from our people? Or a person who's self-funding his campaign, who doesn't owe none of those guys nothing.
Wow.
I owe it to the residents of the city of Patterson only, and only them, and to God, which I put first before anybody else. This is our great opportunity, and May 8th, we can make a difference. We can make a legit and honest difference.
Well, I just got one final question.
Yes.
You're the only candidate that has been bold enough to announce the 2 council at-large seats to run on the same ticket with yourself.
Yeah.
That's pretty bold.
And I'll tell you why we don't have a 3rd, because we spoke to many others, and I told them, the first condition that you need to have is that you don't accept money from these developers or special interests. And people have said, "Hey, Pedro, time out. I can't, he already gave me $1,000. He gave me $2,000." And I'm like, okay, so you don't qualify to be in our team, because our team wants to serve the residents of Patterson. There are many competent candidates out there, but their hands will be tied when they get there. And that's the problem with the funding of these politicians. That's why I don't want to come to a position in which my hands are tied.
But the thing about it, too, in order to run a campaign where you're not able to fund your own, there are people who give money, say for an affair, for a sign, for whatever, but it didn't go from my hand to your hand. It went to the committee. So we never had a conversation that you gave it to my committee, so now I owe you something. So don't think that every dollar that comes into a campaign that somebody's in somebody's pocket.
Exactly. No, and that is you are 100% true, clear in that, and that's why I say, because besides the money that I'm putting, we're raising money, $25 a pop. When somebody give you $300, $200, even $1,000, that's nothing. They won't hold you for any of that. The money that I'm talking about are money who comes from developers who give you thousands of dollars on the table and give you more thousands of dollars under the table. That dark money that comes into politics, the ones that you see signs and you don't see the money where it's coming from. How come you have negative $107 and then $150, but then you see thousands of dollars
and this was on the election report of Mendez, you're saying? That was submitted?
Yeah, 100%. But the whole thing is,
I didn't look
and you're laughing, but it's not a joke. We have people who are influencing this election based on money that nobody can see.
Well, I'd rather see your hands than you hide your hands.
Exactly.
I don't have a problem really with certain developers or businesses that give monies.
No, I don't
Because
either.
I feel that they also want accountability. They're in this city. They're trying to make a business, and it's very difficult when crime is on the rise.
Right.
You can't get people to come in. You can't get people to go out. So I think really, if Patterson had a better avenue or venue for businesses to have input into our city, because they have great power, but they're not able to vote. Okay, and they're not able to really express, the needs. They cannot petition for the people because they don't have that voice.
But not only that, you have these departments that these developers have to deal with
Right.
that aren't able to accomplish their end result.
Yeah.
So they feel like this is the only way I'm going to be able to get it. But you as a person, your integrity, your care and your concern for your community is not going to let somebody just give me money and then expect me to lay down in bed with you. Okay, so it's not necessarily that. There's money out there because you want to see a better Patterson. The people who are trying to get into Patterson want to be a part of that better Patterson.
That's right.
And let me
That's
just
right.
clarify one thing, Francis and Linda. I'm not anti the developers. We have to work with developers.
Okay.
The problem is, the difference is when I give you $1,000 or I give you $50,000. Francis, believe me, Linda, believe me, when I give you a check, something for $20,000, it's not because you look pretty. It's not because you have a good vision.
Okay.
It's because I want something in return.
Right.
And they have in politics now, there's so many ways how they hide money,
Yes.
how they get money to you.
Right.
That it's amazing.
They get money
it's
to you.
amazing.
I like
So
that.
that's the problem. That's what I'm referring to.
Right.
We got to work with developers. We got to work and develop the city. But I don't want developers in the same room as John Doe, who live in the corner of Lafayette and East 18.
Right.
I don't want that. I want,
Because he doesn't have a chance.
there's zero chances. So there's no way that a resident of the city of Patterson can compete with a millionaire who fund campaigns.
That's right.
Period.
That is
That's right.
wonderful.
So we need to establish those differences.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money in politics, and there's a reason, because politics is a business for some people.
Exactly.
Well, thank you so much for coming this
Yes,
evening.
thank
And
you
we're
so
going to
much.
conclude, and we will be following up with the other candidates, and we will be looking at the at-large candidates also.
One more call.
Oh, we got another call on the way out? Okay.
Go ahead.
Caller, please. Your question? I think it takes a minute to roll through.
Too shy.
Talk to him.
Okay. Okay, well, can you call back, please? I'm sorry. Somehow your call got disconnected. Just give us one more shot with that. We're having a little interference due to the weather. Communications are a little weak. Okay, I think we've got that caller back on the line.
Now.
Yes, caller. Yes, can you go ahead with your question, please?
Yes, hi. I was actually listening to the interview, and once when Mr. Rodriguez was talking about the abandoned houses, it wasn't clear enough to me as of how he's actually going to get it done. Can he actually specify in details, how is he going to divide us from investors and special interest people with dark money or things like he's saying right now? I want him to explain how he's able to do such thing where, I'm not going to be competing with somebody who's actually, going to take stuff away from, what I really want.
Right.
And I am trying to look to buy a property here in Patterson. But again, how can I compete? I'm just a regular Joe who makes regular, income. I can't compete with a millionaire.
I like that. Well, I guess you're calling it, or you're tuning in a little late because
Let me just
the candidate
sum it up
really
quick.
fast.
So the first condition that you're gonna have is that to participate in this plan is that you cannot be a homeowner. That's the way that we can isolate these
so
developers.
first, the buyer cannot be a homeowner.
He cannot be a
Okay.
homeowner. And if these developers comes and form an entity that is not a homeowner to purchase the house, they will be able to get one not 90% of them.
Okay.
So that's a way that you're
Limit the
gonna isolate.
purchases of those,
Exactly.
okay.
So you're gonna be able to get one. So we're gonna lend you the money to fix it, but we're gonna be able to put 5 conditions. Number 1, you're gonna have to live in the house for 5 years. You cannot sell the house in those 5 years. If you have to sell it for whatever reason, you're gonna have to give it back to the city. Number 3, we're gonna give you a list of contractors here from Patterson who hire Pattersonians to do the repairs. You're gonna have 6 months. That's number 4. 6 months to do all of the repairs. And the last one, once the house is looking beautiful, you go to the bank, mortgage the house, and repay the city within 6 months, or right after those 6 months, the money that the city lend you for you to repair that property.
Okay.
That's how we're gonna get a lot of Pattersonians in houses, and we're gonna isolate the developers. The developers, we're gonna make them compete with developers for big projects. When the big guys can meet the big guys, the big boys with the big boys,
I like
the little
that.
guys
I like
with the
that.
little guys.
Did that answer your call, your question, caller? Okay,
am.
thank you very much. Again, we're concluding. Please tune in again to the City Post News and Review. We will be talking to each and every one of the candidates that are bold enough to come out and participate in our review of this election for May 8th, 2018.
Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you, Francis.
Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.
Vote 3A.
He says 3A. Is that a call for us? Okay. I hate to cut anybody off that's calling
Review
in.
of this election for May 8th, 2018.
May 8th, vote 3A. That's what the caller was saying.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're off?
And Sound Theaters presents an all-new original
excellent.
production.
I'd like 2 of your plans. Very ready.
Dreams and the power of forgiveness.
La Iglesia Jehová en el Monte Sinai, junto a Monte Sinai Radio FM, les invita a la fiel audiencia mayo 19, 2018. Estaremos saliendo para Lancaster, Pensilvania, y estaremos viendo la obra más esperada de nuestro Salvador y Redentor Jesucristo. Para más información, llámenos al 973-641-0847. Los boletos limitados, así que no espere que alguien se lo cuente, sea testigo ocular de esta gran bendición. Para más información, llámenos al 973-641-0847. Bendiciones.
Where the Bible comes to life.